So what does it mean to sin? I recently got a comment accusing me of sinning by making a trolling video towards Matthieu, calling him a sissy for not joining the Orthodox Church when it's like obviously the tree. It's obviously the tree, and he knows it, and everybody knows it, and like there's he thinks he's wrestling with some question other than self-importance, with the just turning carefulness of thought into a persona by giving all of these interviews and knowingly doing it, mind you, knowing that going on camera like this would turn the authentic parts of himself unavoidably into a caricature, right? And so to just have to go full joke or full gesture, like, guys, it's so flooded, you have to swim. It's so flooded, it's that you have to swim. The Olympic swimmer in the Speedo is funny. Like, that guy's in a tiny little Speedo, but he's the fastest. That guy shaved his legs, shaved his whole body, is wearing a tiny little Speedo, but that's the fastest. All the other gear in the flood, all the other gear weighs you down. But you should have on the tiny little Speedo. That part, you can tell, actually adds to the beauty. It adds to the streamlinedness. It is more beautiful when he wears a tiny little Speedo than nothing at all. It throws out everything except the tiny little Speedo. The tiny little garment of thread, the thinnest, the most sheer, the most basic of covering from the tapestry, from the textile, from the woven material of the woven fabric, the most high-tech woven fabric, symbolically, right? He who swims the fastest is wearing the textual threads pulled so tight across the body it's difficult to squeeze into, and people laugh and mock and say that looks ridiculous, but that is factually, symbolically, the fastest and most agile and most skillful attire for the flooded state. No one swims faster than the guy dressed in the Speedo. Anyway, what does it mean to sin? Like, am I missing the mark here? Am I missing the mark? Am I on target? Am I nailing the target, or am I missing the mark? And are they related? Man, the most visceral way I would describe sin is like just the worst drug addiction, except you can get addicted to these like conceptual arrangements of things in your life, emotional states, feeling states, for whatever reason, and some of them stick to you more than others. Like, some people are more into opioids, some people are more into pot, some people heroin, stimulants, whatever, different drugs, emotional validation. Like, bipolar disorder is just drug-seeking behavior. It's loosh harvesting, histrionics, acting. Acting is the desire to draw attention to you and to connect it to you to influence the emotions, right? The drug use is attempting to influence the emotions. I feel down, And so it's that, right? it's that. And you have to look at how much meaning, how much currency, you can turn any behavior into a drug depending on how much attention that you give the person for it, right? Like if you give attention to a person, they'll do anything. And that money is represented by attention, but like anything that you give a person attention for, they're going to become addicted to it, because people starve for this attention, even if that attention is from themselves, right? Like somebody could go, I never pay attention to my mind, until they do a psychedelic, and that makes their mind interesting enough that they pay attention to it. And so in that experience, they feel the love of the presence of God. They're paying attention. Right? But like any drug, then the mind comes off, and the mind is like, oh, you're less interesting right now. You're not on the drug, right? You lose the attention. And this is just like if you get married to somebody or something, and they're super hot when you get married, and they get less hot, what happens? Or if they're less reasonable, or if they're less whatever, you're kind of married to your mind, right? But if your mind's not interesting, you don't give it any attention. So if it's not like, everyone's like, oh, why does cocaine feel so good? Why do opioids feel so good? Because the body feels good enough that you can give it attention. You can go, oh, I can rest my attention here. It's not a bed of nails and spikes and damage and everything. You can actually rest that attention there. That's this bliss thing. Do psychedelics, do mushrooms. Like, whoa, why am I like, love my mind, or I'm amazed by it, or I'm terrified by it, or whatever, or something. But it's given attention, and then that's addictive as a child. Like I guess ideally, like if you just exist as a child, you get attention from your parents, and that's what you deserve, right? But then that gets imprinted where you feel like, oh, I deserve attention all the time for everything, right? So that's like, go get me my water, go get me my whatever, because they get this unconditional love, which generates like entitlement. But if you don't give them unconditional love, then that generates like something worse. Anyway, I guess all I'm saying is, if you're willing to point the finger at somebody, you better be willing to point it so hard that you don't just get them wet. Like you flood the earth, right? You break the dam, and then you better make sure you can swim. It's like, and it's just like, I'm not wrong about anything. I think ultimately, if you were to dialogue and discuss, like, yeah, I might be acting or behaving in certain ways that seem like very combative, very trolling, egotistical, prideful, self-infatuated. I might be acting all of these different ways. Like, obviously, I might be acting to get attention on those things. Like, I might be acting to get attention on those things consciously, right? Which is that's called trolling. And the point is just to get the joke, right?